All right, this is a joint meeting of the Capital Facilities Committee and the City and Community Relations Committee of this Concord School Board. In the absence of Barb Higgins, I'm going to chair the meeting this evening. Joining us are the chair of the City and Community Relations Committee, Jonathan Weinberg, who's also on the Capital Facilities Committee. Pam Walsh from Capital Facilities. Karen Meeker will be joining us a little bit later, but is not here right now. Sarah Robinson is with us. Also attending are school board members Tom Croto and Jim Richards. And also with us this evening are Superintendent Murphy, school principal Jay Richard, Matt Cashman from Capital Facilities, and Mr. Brett St. Clair. And I'm going to turn it over to Matt at this point to kick things off.
Thanks, Bob. Welcome, everyone. To my left is Brett St. Clair, and he is going to talk to us about the new website and the marketing strategy as we move forward with the Concord Middle School project.
Thanks, Matt. It's nice to meet all of you. I've actually was not able to attend the work session that you held on the 14th, but I did, thanks to Concord TV, watch it and actually watch the City and Community Relations Committee meeting that you held where the idea for the business card with the QR code came up, which I thought was a real good one. So we adopted that, and hopefully you'll be able to put those to use. Just to introduce myself quickly, I'm an accredited public relations practitioner. I'm accredited by the Public Relations Society of America. I've been practicing for more than 30 years. I've been in Concord that time. I've worked for all kinds of different clients and on different projects. You know, perhaps the one closest to home here is I supported the City of Concord for 3 years during the Concord Main Street project. I was working for a private firm, but handled the community and merchant relations for the Main Street project. I was also asked a couple years later when the Northern Pass project was proposed to go through Concord. The mayor was concerned when the site evaluation committee was meeting that they weren't getting enough feedback from people in Concord, and he was concerned that if the project was approved, people would feel like, you know, nobody told us this was happening. So I worked with the deputy city solicitor and one of the planning staff to increase awareness about the project and its impact in Concord, and as a result the committee got a lot of feedback from folks in Concord. So I've actually, and the reason that Jack Dunn asked me to help you out in terms of communicating during this kind of phase of the project is I've been a member of the Concord Y board for probably 13 years, and although the Y is no longer involved in the project, I actually attended all of the original visioning sessions back in 2017. Matt and I went out to Lincoln, Nebraska with Jack Dunn, and I don't remember Bobby's last name, from Williams from HMFH. There's a couple new folks from HMFH involved now. So anyway, that was all pro bono, you know, volunteer work at that time. But I am, you know, quite familiar with the middle school project, familiar with Concord, and so that's why I'm here. What I wanted to talk about tonight specifically was, and we'll take a look at the website, and I'm open to feedback on that. We launched that on Friday. That can be changed, updated, you know, and so forth. So open to feedback on that. But I wanted to talk to you specifically about whether you would like to do a online survey that might help you make decisions and get some feedback from community members in terms of what their sort of preferences were for the middle school in terms of its location. The district has a SurveyMonkey account, has the ability to essentially connect with all of the parents of all of the students in the district at the present time. Also all of your staff, and we can open it up to members of the community as well. So you can think of, we can talk about that in a couple minutes to see if that's something that you're interested in doing or not, and what the timing, if you are, of that might be. Has anybody had a chance to look at the website so far?
Been able to access it.
We saw it last night in our regular meeting, the preview of that.
Okay, so it's ConcordMiddleSchoolProject.org. And yeah, it's right here. I was just wondering if anybody had had a chance to look at it and had any off-the-cuff feedback they'd like to provide, but okay.
Is it public now to share with staff and
Yeah.
people, or?
Yeah, it is. It's ConcordMiddleSchoolProject.org.
I might be misspelling. It's a long URL.
Yeah, it is, but it's Concord Middle School Project. I think people can kind of remember it, and again, with that business card with the QR code, people can scan that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I assume this is connected to the SAU 8 site one way or
It
another?
actually is not. What we plan to do, and the superintendent and Jack Dunn and I met on Friday, is to redirect or put a link on the current website to this site here, because it has, I would say, perhaps better organized information. And so just quickly, the site's fully mobile compliant. I would assume that probably most members of the general public, their first, sort of introduction to this might be via their mobile phone. The advantage to having a standalone website like this is it does make it easier for people to find and access information that they need to know. Kind of top of mind right now is your public hearings that are scheduled for the 26th and 27th. And again, one of the advantages to using a website like this that you can update and change relatively quickly is, just one example was, I think the original public hearings were scheduled for the 25th and 26th. Then it was discovered that the 25th was a holiday. So again, if you have stuff in print or whatever, it can be difficult to change that. So this makes it easy. So as an example, here's information, click. And sorry, I couldn't get a better screenshot off of Concord TV's broadcast, but
This one's
great.
yeah.
okay, yeah. But it's the best I could. It's the best I could do. At least you're all smiling and looking at the,
Doing the work.
yeah, doing the work. Yeah. So anyway, so here's the information about the two public hearings with the Zoom link.
So we've had a little, is it 6 or 5:30? Because it says 5:30.
It's still 6.
It's 6. It's still 6.
This was done.
Okay, so we just need to.
Making sure.
Okay, so I need to change
Yes.
that, right?
At 6 o'clock.
So the virtual meeting is at 6 p.m.
Right, and Jack's
Okay.
already changed the link, so we've
They're
done
both
that.
at 6 p.m.
Yeah, make it easy.
Okay, so they're both at 6 p.m. Okay, thanks. I will fix that.
And I think today.
Tonight.
We sent out a note out via Parent Square, just reminding people that it was at 6 o'clock.
You
I
did.
saw that.
Yeah, so apologize for that, but anyway.
Okay.
It's in a majillion different places.
Yeah. Got some initial frequently asked questions, and we'll update these. And actually, the superintendent told me that the HMFH architects have kind of collated some new questions and answers and so forth, and we'll plug these into this structure. But it's again, pretty simple. Why do we need a new middle school? Sorry. Okay. You know, just a basic answer. Why can't the existing school be renovated? And again, this is all from the documentation that HMFH or you folks have put out.
I think it would be important to add there, and Jack has those numbers, that the estimates we had, at least initially, was renovating was about the same cost as building new for
Okay,
a
all right, yeah. I read that and,
greatly
okay.
insufficient school.
Yeah. So that's, okay, renovating, same cost.
I think that's actually one of the frequently asked questions on there.
Is
If you
it?
go down-
Okay.
If you go down.
So,
Okay,
Yeah, right there.
it's right
all
there.
right. You know, again, where will the new school be located? That's the, you know, the big question right now. There's more information on this in other places in the site, but what other site options were considered? How much will a new school cost? That's really kind of up in the air right now, but at least there's some information here. What the effect on property taxes will be, that's of concern to folks, and we don't really exactly know what that is yet, but as soon as there's an estimate, we'll get that up here. When might the new school be built?
Do we think it would be helpful if a question was just, what is building aid?
Ah, okay.
Yeah, good. And how much do we expect?
Well, we don't know.
Well, cause that is like
We've
part of,
applied for 70 million.
Yeah,
it's briefly addressed under how much will new school cost.
Yeah, go ahead, sure, yeah. I'm sorry, go back up.
Well, I think it was where will the school be located? I saw some images.
There's a lot
Oh,
more,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
We voted to make a decision in December. We did not want to commit ourselves to doing it at our December 4th meeting in case we wanted to have a special meeting.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't aware of that. So that should just say in December, okay? All right,
On this
Okay.
particular point right here, about 59-acre parcel,
yeah,
I would suggest, and I'll just throw this out to everybody else, that a portion of which could be used for the middle school.
Yes.
Yes.
okay,
I think there's,
There's some perception out there that
Yeah.
we
that we're
would-
just gonna clear cut
Clear.
59 acres.
okay, yeah, thank you.
Pave it over.
Yeah, right, there's,
Yeah, okay, that's good.
it's not in the budget.
Okay. Let's see. Jack and the superintendent told me that, you know, people are asking, you know, if the Y is still involved, and so their letter is available here. Okay.
Could you just go back to the point on the effect on taxes? I didn't
Yeah.
get to
Okay.
that.
TBD.
Okay.
I know Jack's working on, you know, he's the spreadsheet wizard, so he's working on a spreadsheet on this, but, yeah, as soon as he has an
It's
estimate.
uncertain, though, so-
Yeah, it's uncertain, yeah.
Curious, what do you have for a cost for the new school under there?
I think I put it was a range,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. And how much school building aid you had applied for and so forth, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't know if we should express that much confidence. We would hope that we would be first in line, but we don't know what other school districts have emergencies or.
okay,
It could be a catastrophic event in a school district and they
Yeah.
could bounce us off of that first place.
okay, so
Maybe we just say we are hopeful as
Yes.
opposed to.
not confident,
I'm more hopeful
hopeful.
than confident, yes.
Okay, got it, all right.
I mean, it could be somebody who hasn't applied in a previous in a previous round, they decided his grade would be, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, isn't with
I
the
don't
new
think
law,
that can happen.
the new
Yeah.
law
I don't-
cements the first
Yeah.
17 schools on the list, and then everybody
Oh, okay.
falls in
Yeah, okay.
underneath.
Yeah.
And the only thing that would change would be a catastrophic
Right.
event.
Previously, it was like
Then you come
whoever.
up here.
Exactly.
It was each application
Right.
process.
Yeah, which was so
A roof
inefficient.
falls in or something, that would, could.
As it should. You know, that should
And
take
as you
precedent.
page down,
Yeah.
If a roof falls in.
frequently, keep going.
I have
frequently.
a question. What about any ties to any minutes, recent
You got
minutes,
scroll.
meetings, videos? How do you feel about somewhere on this website or under FAQs where I'm meeting with someone on Friday to just kind of review what we've done so far? But I wonder, other people might be having those questions too, and if there's any links and locations where someone could.
Yeah.
I think that'd
What
be
do you-
helpful, although I don't wanna go too far back and confuse people with Clinton Street and.
Right.
That's what I did when I kind of curated the documentation that's on here, is any reference to things that, you know, options that have been discarded, I did not include, so, yeah. It's
That's
really
great.
One of
just-
the things,
But I do think it'd be helpful to, you know,
Yeah.
when we actually discuss things in
Okay.
capital facilities or wherever, that
Yeah,
there's a link to those.
okay, I will add that, okay. I did put what I thought was the, let's say, most pertinent current information, which is the presentation that HMFH did on August 14th. And then the Concord TV video of your work session. So I can add I'll figure out the best way to do that. That's the simplest way for folks to access, you know, information.
one of the things that HMF did was, around process, so they had about the visioning sessions, and then they, you know, complete information here, so you can link all of that information, so I have that, I'll send that to you.
Okay.
And also the staff and student visioning sessions too. Somebody asked about the students and wanted to make sure, so we have that, and the link is there.
I also think it'd be helpful when we do have these listening sessions to have a link to the videos of those to the extent they're available, you know, going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I intend to update this,
Yeah.
you know, almost in real time as you move forward in the process of making your decision.
Great.
Well, we are going to film the face-to-face session, you know, Josh is gonna be there. The Zoom, we can record.
Yeah, we'll just record that, yeah.
Do we, this is not, well, I guess it is somewhat website related, do we think it would be valuable to hand these out to every student? And say bring it to your guardians or such?
I mean,
I'm very hesitant to recommend that we use students, as our, you know, carriers of information. I think that's a fine line. People take exception to it, at least that's been my experience, so I'm very careful not to do that.
I would suggest that we have them available at the back-to-school nights.
Yep.
If we can.
that's a good call.
That we can do.
I'll have them on me when I'm at Broken Ground.
Maybe we have a table
Hey,
at the
you're right here.
Runlet Middle School open house or something to that effect.
That'd be great.
It's a great idea.
One of the things that I asked, again, the architects to do, is to do some boards, some big boards. Just the design, simple design of the school and what those pods would look like, what those neighborhood designs. So they're working on those, they're gonna hopefully tomorrow, I have a 10 o'clock with them, Matt and I, and they will be showing me those. So if those are done with the open house, I would like to leave them on, like on a trifold, you know, trifold stand at the school, especially at Runlet, so.
Is it all right if I speak, Black?
Oh.
Well, I'm not a member of either of these. So I think the frequently asked questions answer this. Why do we need a new middle school? And it goes through the important things that HMFH told us back in 2017 or 18. It finishes with simply stated the existing building is not conducive to a 21st century middle school education. So I go back to what Superintendent Murphy just said. there's more to it than just infrastructure. It's gotta be, we need to let people know what a new middle school building for middle school aged kids is gonna look like. And why is it gonna look that way? Because we teach differently nowadays. And that building won't let us do it as well as it should. So it's gotta be in there somewhere, and maybe along with those
The big
drawings.
boards, you know, the big,
Yep.
boards that they use.
But people are gonna wanna know,
Yeah.
I mean, why are you doing this? You know, why you have a building?
Right.
Isn't there a document in the myriad of documents that we have that goes point by point as to why the building itself is problematic? It includes like how many entrances and exits there are. I feel like having easy access to that, I remember looking at it
I
at
think
a
that's
community
in
thing.
project background, actually, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I
No,
think,
by all means.
Existing conditions report.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so there's the architect's report, and then there's the form submitted
That's
to
the one I
department.
think is the one that I'm thinking of. I'm
Yeah.
grateful that that's very close. And maybe, I know it's like maybe duplicative, but having a link to that also in the answer for the frequently asked questions.
Okay.
Do you feel like that maybe is, because I just feel people who just want the quick answer are
Yeah.
just going to go to the FAQs, but if they can also easily pass through to a document that supports that answer, might be a faster way. I'm just thinking of like user
No, that's,
engagement.
yeah, so basically it would be under why can't the existing school be renovated?
Yeah, exactly, and
then a
maybe at the
link.
bottom, here's the
Okay, yeah,
DHHS
I can do
report
that.
that we submitted.
Yeah,
Could, just following up on Superintendent Murphy's comment about the big boards. That's great for Runlet, and I think the big boards ought to be at Runlet. I would encourage us to have something though at the grade schools, frankly. You know, there's sixth graders, fifth graders, and fourth graders who are actually gonna be the ones who are affected by this by the time we get there in 28 or whatever it is.
Third grade.
It'll be first, second, and
And
third
third grade.
grade.
Yeah, my kids are
So-
never gonna see this school.
So I
First, second,
mean,
and third
I
grade,
think-
and
I think-
first graders will.
parents at the grade school level are gonna also be interested
Sure,
in
and we'll have those out in all the
maybe,
buildings.
you know,
Yep.
smaller versions of it or something.
And you would carry them, I used to carry them when I've done building projects to whatever public meeting we had. Because
Yeah.
people are really interested in looking at that when they come to a meeting. And so we would stage them all over the room so people could walk around and see various aspects of it, so.
That's a good
so
idea.
It's, again, those are ways to bring attention.
Jim?
Just to follow up, because I had the same thought as Mr. Cotton, if we could get some sort of a board or a display, and we would need probably multiple copies since our elementary schools have their open house all in the same
All the
night
same night.
at the same time. So if we could get multiple copies out to the schools,
Yeah.
I think those elementary school parents are gonna be very, very interested in what we're talking about.
And I definitely agree, and I'd like to see it out there. I think it's really important that we make sure that people understand this is a concept, it's not the final
Right.
design, because,
It's like a draft watermark.
well, yeah, it's just
Yeah,
because, you know, we're
that's not a bad
gonna,
idea.
once we figure out a site, then it's design, you know,
Right.
and
Mhm.
what part of a site do we go on if we go on
Yeah.
broken ground? And I think it's important that people understand that there's still steps in the process that they will be involved in, this is just one step. But I agree, having like a concept and what would be
That's all,
better,
schematics.
yeah.
Under FAQs, obviously we don't have the traffic information yet for ground, but I think that's an important, has there been a traffic study, and maybe it's underway right now, because a lot of people are.
Matt
It
can
actually
speak
is.
to that.
We, Jay and I met with VHV traffic engineers today, this morning, as well as this afternoon to look at drop-off and pickup. And then tomorrow, we're meeting out at Broken Ground in Millbrook. I understand they've already met with Sue Losey, but they're gonna meet with Katie Scarpati and I tomorrow as well to look at both scenarios.
Nice.
So that is underway, which is good.
so what we might do is add an accordion question for that and basically say, hey, you know, the traffic studies are in both locations are underway, information will be posted here when it's available.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, no, good suggestion, thanks.
I'm glad you said it.
No, this is helpful to me because you're kind of at a different level of, involvement here than I am, so, yeah, good. And again,
Oh, that's
we
a
can
good
just keep without trying to keep it relatively simple for people, but we can add, additional information as it becomes available.
And sorry, in that same vein, we had found out that the wetland study has been completed, and I know I've gotten a couple questions about, like, what about the endangered species or plants in the natural space? So
Okay.
to know that that has been concluded and we
Okay.
are not dealing with wetland environment might be helpful.
Okay. Should that go in frequently asked questions or project back? Just kind of curious what your.
I don't know, it kind of wraps in with traffic study, or maybe like what studies are underway.
Yes, it's more like a frequently asked question
Yeah.
type thing. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
I'm trying to think about, like, how are people going to engage with this immediately?
One of the questions that's gonna come up in a similar vein is, what's this gonna do to the trails? You know, I mean,
Yeah.
that's gonna be another question, obviously.
The answer could be, great question.
Dot, dot, dot,
Depends on where you
ellipses.
put it.
But even in the one that takes up the sort of most space on the property, it still preserves
A significant
a
amount.
significant amount of trails and access to walking, the other walking, the conservation land walking trails. And I think that's a point that, there's a number of options where it can be placed on the site, but they all preserve access to walking trails and access to the, city conservation lands, or is it city or forest society?
It's, I'll have to go back and look.
Just
But may
to-
provide
yeah.
easier access and parking.
Yeah, just a suggestion on that, if you want to, if you have the intention and you want to, I think, put people at more ease. During the Main Street project, one of our talking points and commitments was we will maintain access to all businesses at all times during the project, and it would be, in this case, we will maintain access to, all of the trail network, if it's possible throughout the duration of the project. Yeah, if that's something that you can
I
make a
think
commitment
the thing
to.
is, there's the official trail network, and then there are the trails that have been built up on our
Oh,
land
okay, yeah.
to access
Yeah.
that trail network, and I think we want,
Okay.
as we build, to preserve that access,
Yeah,
but it may not be all of it, because we do have to,
got it.
there's a lot of,
Yeah, we may have 8 different trails that all go to the same place.
right,
Yeah,
so, yes.
Okay,
yeah, there are official trails and then there are.
Unofficial trails.
banded trails.
Unofficial trails, so.
Yeah, they're city, by the way.
But I think saying that we will maintain access in that area to the city conservation land is important.
okay.
The one other thing that I would just bring up that I heard a lot about was, and I don't know how we phrase this exactly, but review of busing is something that'll be looked at. Right now, there's a 1.5 mile radius that's been established by the school district. You might decide to change that depending on which site we choose, and what the traffic studies say, et cetera.
There were concerns about students walking over the
Yeah.
393 bridge or from Loudon Road.
Okay. And so the answer to that, a review of busing will be conducted, is that the?
I think it's as part of the traffic study, and as also, I mean, it's at the discretion of the school board to change the
1.5 mile radius.
radius, for example.
Yeah, and so the decision there is at the discretion of the board, and you may change the policy.
Right,
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
to ensure safety of the students.
got it, thanks.
For the languages that are offered on the side,
Yeah.
were those the most most frequently spoken languages in the community, or?
I'll be honest, I added this
Okay.
like at the last, minute, so I could certainly add more languages or whatever, but these are the ones that, let me just see. We've got Arabic, French, which is spoken by a lot of African folks, Spanish, Swahili, and then English. So if there's others that should be added, I can certainly do that. But I thought this, at least this indicates to folks that we're sensitive to
Right.
wanting, to be accessible to people of different backgrounds.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I apologize if we missed it, if I missed it, but is there a specific contact us piece, or is it just the Concord School Board link?
It's actually in the, I didn't use a, excuse me. Yeah, so this, the Concord School Board link goes to this page,
Okay.
which has, information on who are the members,
Mhm.
public meetings, your committees.
During
Um,
COVID, the general email box was pretty prominent on all the materials, so people could send an email
Yeah.
that ended up going to all of the school board members. I think having that,
So it's this Concord info at SAU?
yeah,
Okay, so I can add a contact button up in the top, if people would like that. Yeah, I just don't want, you want as much feedback as possible, yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Okay.
Other thoughts from folks so far?
the only other question that I think I've heard from people is the high school using the middle school ball fields. And that goes both ways.
In both ways, yeah.
They have to commute more, but under this, if we stay with the Runlet site, they will not be available for 3+ years. So, but I think maybe something on that would be, that's a big, that was a question that people kept raising.
It's a question I've been getting in my area, in my neighborhood. I just don't know the answer yet because I don't know what they will do if we were to close those fields down for 3 years. So I'm not sure if it's an FAQ because I don't know what the answer
So Brett, just for your, the high school uses Runlet fields for practice.
Yeah, oh, no, yeah, I totally, yeah, so I just, what's the question? That's the.
What's gonna happen
Will
to
the
the,
use of the, fields at Runlet be
yeah,
by the high school be affected by this project or
Right.
something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
What will the effect be, yeah.
Well, I'm not sure we know the effect yet,
Well,
but,
it's not just high school, it's also the middle school, because they
Right.
use
Yeah,
it too,
okay.
so.
What about community groups? Do we have any community groups that use those fields like the?
Little League does,
Little League,
Lacrosse
it's,
does.
okay.
From personal
Regular
experience,
people.
I know I.
yeah.
So, but I think, that's, the answer is it depends on the the immediate impact depends on the location. If we're building there, then those fields won't be available.
And that's the answer, right? The immediate, that's yet to be determined. The immediate impact depends on location selected.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, okay, thanks. Okay. Anything else?
I'll let you know.
Okay, good.
This is great. This is wonderful.
Yeah, this is
I would
really, really good
suggest,
stuff.
If it's, I don't know how you want to handle this, perhaps feedback gets funneled through the superintendent and then goes to me, if that's
Fine.
okay? Yeah,
That's fine.
all right. One thing I don't need to go, I don't know, kind of what your time frame is for the meeting, so I don't want to take up too much time. I know in your committee meeting, you mentioned that having some flyers might be of use to post in public places and so forth. Is that something you'd like to make people aware of the 2 hearings?
I think
Okay.
Yeah.
And, we can put the web address and the QR code on those. Okay, so I'll have my graphic designer.
And I would
Those.
also say that having those in maybe 2 other languages, French and Swahili, would be really helpful.
Okay.
I know that
Right.
that's not an easy task to get to, but I know it's not impossible.
Yeah, okay.
But we have lots of folks lots of families that are not speaking English in the home, that are gonna.
Yeah, I can
should
find
be
somebody
part
to
of
do
this.
the I mean, it's gonna be really pretty simple language anyway, so.
Of course,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, all right, got it, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.
On that point, I wonder if we ought to try to get something in the Concord Monitor, for example. You know.
Yeah, I will do a news release on that, and what I was going to suggest is that perhaps Jack and the superintendent meet with one of the Monitor reporters ahead of time, just to kind of fill them in. I noticed that the work session didn't, as far as I could tell, get any coverage in the Monitor. I'm not sure if, I don't think anyone, you know, a reporter attended, so I think it would be valuable to kind of get them up to speed on that and get some attention, yeah.
Jamie Costa was there last night, so I think she's
Okay.
covering
Yeah, she was.
education now.
All right.
Oh.
They were kind of bouncing between two folks.
people.
Yeah, okay.
And then you would include the patch as well, since a fair
Yeah.
number of people get that.
Yeah, Tony, yeah, Chanela, yeah. Okay.
You also have a lot of opportunity on the Concord TV, if you make use of that sometimes.
Yeah, okay, I'll get a hold of Chris, okay.
I talked to Josh last night. And
Josh,
one
I'm
of the-
sorry, yeah.
One of the topics that we wanna do, we're trying to do these infomercials.
Yeah.
Not long, but quick information and updates, and so
Yeah.
he and I are working on a schedule.
Okay, good.
That's a good idea.
Are you holding auditions?
Yeah, he and I did with the city engineer, the Main
would be
Street
fun.
Minute every other week
Yeah,
during the
yeah.
Main Street
It's great.
project.
People
yeah.
love it.
No,
Why, you wanna do it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd help you with that.
Okay,
okay.
got that down.
Any other thoughts from your guys' side on?
No, I think it's exciting. As I, you know, expressed basically to Jack when he asked me if, you know, I could help, is that my feedback was that putting myself in your position, you have a lot of, let's say, information coming at you, and whatever we could do to make sure that the public understands what the options are, and then B, get it so that you're provided with, I would say, as much feedback, but also try to, as much objective feedback as possible, so you can make it easier for you to make a decision. That's what we would try to do, so.
So should we go back to your original question? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I think Mr. Richardson.
I didn't
Well,
see it.
For me.
No, I mean, either one of us could go. My question is to you, are we doing enough? We have a website, we have cards, but as you said, we want to reach people who are not necessarily always on their phones. We want to reach people on the north side and the south side of town, the east side and the west side. We want to reach, our older community as well as our, young parents. Are we missing something in what we should be doing to reach all those different people? We want to hit, our folks that are, we've talked about that already. We don't want a language to be a barrier in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
From your experience and expertise, are we missing something?
I think it's basically comes down to you want to be, kind of conducting multi-channel communication. So I've noticed that many of you have really, active Facebook presences. I actually can find out information about what's going on at the synopsis of what happened at a meeting pretty quickly by looking at, Facebook pages and so forth. And as you point out, not all folks are connected to their, phones. But when you combine the Concord Monitor, which probably tends to skew, towards opinion leaders and maybe folks who are older in the community, that's a channel that they pay attention to. If you have presences, for example, I know you're at the farmers markets, and I think you're going to be at the multicultural festival, and so I think as we kind of move along that folks who are interested will be interested in participating to some extent. Quite frankly, I asked someone who has a son in at Runlet yesterday. It's like, well, do you have a kind of any thoughts about what location for the new middle school you might prefer? And she said, and she also has a child that's I think in the 5th grade too. She's like, well, both my kids will be out of school by the time this decision
Yep.
is made. So she's just kind of shrugged. It doesn't really make, and that's, it's all about perspective, right? Whether
Yeah.
you're, and kind of interestingly enough, the students in school who will be that first cohort, I think, are in kindergarten and the first grade right now, which
Yeah.
is, that would be kind of interesting if we do a survey, and I might come back to talk with you about that because I'm kind of used up a lot of time, so we can do that another evening. But it'd be interesting to segment that group if we did a survey of parents, just to see if there's any difference.
Yeah, I was gonna ask when you mentioned the survey, just to take up more time, because why not? If we're going to make specific surveys for each demographic, so that we can sort of, I don't know, glean from the data, like, this is what educators are thinking, this is what parents are thinking, and I don't know if that's something that you think we should be doing. It just, I wondered how we might be able to glean who's asking what from us.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength as you are. Usually it's done with cross tabulations, like you will ask some kind of demographic questions at the end of a survey. For example, with your student, parents, it might be, do you have a child in school, elementary school now, and which school do they attend? So you could segment out, or maybe what ward people are in within the city, or whatever it is. So you could then kind of slice the responses that you get from the survey and take a look and see, are parents of, first and second graders, do they have any, sort of different perspective on where the school should be located than, other folks, the community at large, or people, quite frankly, on one side of the river or the other have, different perspectives. So, I think also it might be interesting to, survey staff members, but maybe that's a different survey. So, yeah.
I just got a quick comment.
Yeah.
When we think about the grade levels, first and second grade, I think, when we talk about the athletic spaces, whoever using that right now, like when you mentioned the parent that, they're indifferent, and I've heard that too, from my current parents, of course. If their child's on a sports team that might be impacted by the athletic fields, whatever that means or looks like, I don't have that answer, but that might be something we might want to investigate or just kind of explore a little bit. I know it's extra work, but what would that mean to our school community if we're building at Runlet on that field system?
Yeah, so, okay.
I don't know,
Yeah, well,
I mean, it's,
from attending the visioning sessions in 2017, the two things that I remember coming away with was playing field space was really important. That was, a lot of feedback, and then a performing arts, center or opportunity was another, kind of, again, this is the community at large, but,
Right.
yeah, but your point is to try to gauge kind of impact.
when I left today, there was probably 150 plus middle
Yeah.
school student athletes on the field.
Yeah,
And the football field, when I lead work, is there, 100
Yeah.
kids.
yeah, okay.
So, I just,
Yeah.
Right.
those kids are gonna have to go someplace.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah. Maybe there's no impact, maybe there's a field right at the street that's easy, but I don't know.
Pam,
Yeah.
then Tom.
I just, in terms of where else can we communicate, I think in addition to sharing this on the, school districts, Facebook and social accounts, I think asking the schools to share it on theirs,
Okay.
and maybe sharing that information with the PTOs. A lot
Yeah.
of people will follow their kids' school, but not the district's
Mm-hmm.
social
Yep.
accounts.
And we all should be pushing it too.
Yeah.
Mr. Croto?
So just a nuts and bolts question, Brett.
Yeah.
Who takes care of collating all of the information gathered in a survey? Is that school district folks, or is that?
I would actually kind of analyze that for you folks and do the cross tabulations and those types of things, and do a presentation on it. If you're-
Perfect.
Yeah. I would use
Our
the
folks are
district's
pretty well
account and,
staffed.
yeah, but I'll take care of that. I've done a lot of surveys,
Great.
yeah. Okay. Pam, I missed, you suggested sharing
On the
information on the school's social media and then a PT.
PTO.
PTO.
Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
yeah. Thanks, I missed that.
I always like to do face-to-face with PTO, so, you know, get on
Yeah.
one of their agendas. I think that's
Yeah,
that's
but we won't
meaningful.
have, yeah, and that'd be great, we wouldn't have.
But through the whole process.
Yeah,
And,
through-
you know,
yeah.
I know that it's somewhat limited time, but as the process.
I'm just
of the
thinking
project-
that they'd be good people to push out the meeting, the
Yeah.
public meeting.
Public meeting, yeah.
Information.
Yeah.
And
I'm just curious, is there any limit to the number of people you can accommodate, let's say at Millbrook, or, I just,
Well, there's always
They're-
limits.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I've just,
we'll be fine.
I guess that's
We've-
been a problem
we've-
we've
I was gonna
had.
say-
yeah, okay, well,
Yeah. We do,
oh, just
Thank
wait,
you for
yeah.
thinking of us. Yeah, yeah.
3 or 4 years.
we do
Yeah.
have capacity
What's-
loads,
I'm
and
just-
I'll get those to you.
Couple hundred, or?
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we've had school board meetings, hearings. We'll do
Okay,
budget hearings in March. So
Okay.
That
we
doesn't
have
really
room.
test capacity, because for the last 2 years, we've been the only people at our.
Yeah.
well, I just wanted to, you know, just to
But-
find that, and what about, your Zoom account, do you know, is there any limit that you have there, or it's never been a problem, right?
No.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, no, because there've been over 100 people on.
I'd throw out too, when we did the elementaries, we actually use Broken Grounds Gym, which is very large. So, you know, if we get a feel or we know, we can plan to do it at that location as well. After the ones that we already have planned.
Yeah, let's not change any places.
No.
Okay, yeah,
We have capacity.
Yeah. No talking about it.
okay,
All right.
Any other questions, comments?
yeah.
I was just gonna say, I know this feels it feels like a lot for something that's, you know, gonna get decided in December, but I think this is an amazing foundation for like how this project is gonna continue forward. And like the punch list for who to contact and how, like, if it's all set up now, then it'll be so much easier all the way down the road, so thank you.
Yeah,
You know,
welcome.
thanks to Kathleen for putting all the thought into it.
Actually, not a question for Brett, it's a question for Kathleen and Matt. Are we going to see the HMFA presentation before they do it, or is it the same presentation we received?
You mean for the
For the-
sessions?
For the public hearings.
For the public hearings? Oh, I would hope you'd get a chance to see it. We have, I was looking at the calendar actually while we were going through that with the public hearings. You have,
Tell me about it.
Sunday night.
yeah, Sunday night executive committee is on the 18th, which is the night before. I hate to wait that long.
18th, it's not the night before.
No,
No, it's not the night before,
It's the
that's a
night
week
before
before.
the Memorial Field
Oh, wait a
hearing.
minute, the memorial.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, maybe the 18th?
Mm-hmm.
25th.
No, we can't do the 25th.
Yeah, I don't know if we can add a meeting, but
I'm
at
not
least.
25th is not a good day.
Right.
Let me
But
talk
like-
to them and
But at
maybe
least
if
if
we
we
can
can get
Keep
it
trying.
circulated.
send it to you.
Yes.
Would that work if I sent it to
Yeah.
you? If I
That's
can't
open for
figure
some
out a
reason.
time?
Mhm.
The
Yes.
21st is open, it's a Thursday night. That's about it.
Isn't Thursday,
Friday nights.
isn't that back to school night, the 21st?
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
have that calendar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's back to school
Is
night.
that all
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
all the
All the
elementary
elementary.
schools.
Yes.
Jeez Louise.
So this month is just horrific, but Wilson, how about I send it out to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we can just
Yeah,
look at
yeah,
it. I don't need.
We have a meeting,
to
we meet with
romance.
HFM, Thursday at 10 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Jack, Matt and I, Jay, when he,
I'll be there.
he's
Yeah.
there too. So
Okay.
I always look to say I don't know, ever know what's going on, right?
Just tell me where I need to be. You're the
That's
boss.
right, that's right.
Because with the rest of us.
Yeah.
So, anything else for Mr. St. Clair?
No.
No?
Thank you so
I
much.
I don't
Thank
wanna
you,
keep
Brett.
you here any
No,
longer.
that's
You're
great.
welcome to listen to the fascinating discussion about lead in the
No,
water.
he told me I could leave.
Or you can stay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna make that change to Zoom meeting when I get home to 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
And then I'm gonna make the rest of the changes you suggested tomorrow. If you notice that I got something wrong, cause there was a lot of, feedback,
and I got you.
Just let the superintendent know and I'll fix it, okay? Thanks.
I want to share a couple, I want to come
Thanks,
over
Brett.
and talk.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, very nice to meet you. Thanks for
Thanks
taking the
for
time.
folks too, yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. We'll talk, Brett, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Jay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Gonna give them a couple ideas outside.
All right.
Okay.
Taking me out in the parking lot.
Welcome to it.
So, Mr. Cashman's now gonna discuss, the LeadWater situation.
So to keep a promise that I said last night, we wanted to go a little bit more in depth, but kind of do an overview, and then happy to answer any questions you have. I had no idea how big this whole lead process was going to be. It is a process. It's a long process. So this was published. We talked with, I think it was Jamie from the Concord Monitor last week, and I reviewed these numbers with her. So a synopsis: we did 991 total outlets throughout the entire school district, all the schools. The outlets that popped at 5 parts per billion or above was 256. So I just did an aggregate that made up roughly 20.84% of outlets. But if you look deeper, you can see the newer schools, meaning Abbott Downing, Broken Ground, Christa McAuliffe and Millbrook, were less results above 5 parts per billion. So the process started in April when we started doing this. It's a lengthy process. I'll probably keep going back to that just to tell you how we did this. So when we do the initial tests, we have to send out to a third party that the state contracted with in Marietta, Ohio. They take those results, and as soon as they can analyze them, they send us immediate responses back on the parts per billion count, in very detailed of the inventory that we send them of all the outlets in the schools. We then have 5 days, and we've done this at all location with all the test results. They come back. We send a formal letter out via Parent Square. We also post it on the website, but we send it to parents and guardians about all the faucets that were at or above 5 parts per billion. We also have, when we do that, we also have to submit to the Department of Environmental Services a remediation plan. And that remediation plan could include retesting, which is quite a bit of what we're doing. After we do a faucet replacement, and I brought a demonstration here, we have been adding filters to some of the actual water fountain locations in the schools. And then once we send that out, we're in a wait situation for when the lab can analyze. And that lab in Ohio is one that does all the New Hampshire schools, because it was something that was bid out through the DES. They've been doing a good job, but it's just sometimes a hurry up and wait scenario. But I can tell you that these numbers are lower as far as what we've been receiving outlets, and we're putting them back into service that are below 5 parts per billion. And in a lot of cases, and currently right now, we have some faucet fixtures that are particular to some of the schools, and there's a little bit of a lead time. But as soon as they come in, we pick them up at the supply house, we put them in. It's important to note, and not to get too much in the weeds, but when we replace a faucet and or add a filter, we have to run that in the schools for 2 weeks, just in the mornings and at night, just to kind of flush that system for a solid 2 weeks. Then we conduct a test, ship it out to Marietta, then we wait for the results. Obviously, if the results come back under 5 parts per billion, we put that right into operation. We put it right in the system. But if it doesn't, then we're faced with essentially repeating the process or having to make a determination to take that outlet out of service completely, redesignate it to hand washing only, or if we really need to chase it out because it's for food service or or something critical like a water filling station or a bubbler, then we're going to have to chase the line from where the outlet is all the way back to the incoming portion of the building. So you can imagine with some of the older schools that can be pretty invasive, and looking at hazardous materials, whether it could be asbestos or any other hazardous materials. But with what we're seeing so far, I feel pretty good with what we've been able to redesignate and what we're being able to put back in service.
Do we know kind of the breakdown of 5 to 10 or 10 to 50 or what the breakdown?
I'm glad you asked that. So on our website, all of the results are published. So if, the old standard used to be 15 parts per billion, and it just recently got changed for the city down to 10 parts per billion. But all public schools and child care facilities, they've reduced it even tighter to 5 parts per billion. So you can go on to the website and you can look at the test results and see what they actually scored out at under a parts per
And
billion.
where on the website would you find that?
Right on the main page, and we have a attention box, or a box that you just click right on it and it will show. Sure.
Actually, I think Pam was just wondering.
Is this the original number or the number that we're at now?
This was all of the numbers that we've been working on since April, and we concluded fairly recently, within the last couple of weeks, the high school. So it's an aggregate of all.
So how many outlets are we at now?
So we've done 991 total outlets. We don't have any more to do.
Okay.
And of that 991, 256 throughout the time from April up until recently, it's about 256 that were at 5 parts per billion.
But how many now are at 5 parts
I
per
don't-
billion?
I don't.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I don't have that number
Okay.
handy right now, but I can get that, and we can put it out there.
And just one, do we know how it got into our new schools? Like, it should, like.
That's been the question. So here are some of the answers we've heard. If so think
Well,
of
that's what I'm wondering, is it the pipes, or did we put in something that we shouldn't have put in?
No,
the new schools?
The other
Let
thing
me-
is, could it be the city pipes?
Well, that's, yeah, no, that's what I was.
So let me answer that, step through it. So the new schools, a lot of the results could be from a variety of different things. It could be the type of fixtures that are in any of the schools, the kitchen faucets, the wear and tear. But one of the things that they do, and when you're testing, you have to take a stagnant test. And the first test has to be stagnant for at least 2 days. So let's say a school shuts down for the summer, but you're doing summer activities, but a less used faucet is, it's just not used as frequently as when school's in session. A lot of times that the standing water that's in, the stagnant water that's in the pipe could, show a higher result. There's no hardcore reason that they can tie. Why do we find it in the new schools?
I guess just going back to what you said, it could be the fixtures. Did we buy fixtures? Like, the fixtures we got should have been lead free by the time we were building these schools, right? So.
Right. But it could be other factors too. I don't really know.
I just want to make sure that we did have.
No, but one of the first remediation efforts, if to put it back into service, is to buy a new faucet, replace it, and then retest it. Just because if there was something in the faucet, then you've eliminated that.
Could it also be that the city water has got lead in it?
Mm-hmm.
It could be.
And
There would
it's
be
okay at
variability
10
in
parts
the
per
outlets.
billion? It's okay at 10 parts per million?
It could be.
Right, if we
Concord's
have-
got
if
some
the
very.
city water has high lead, then why would there be variability in the school outlets? Wouldn't it all?
As
Wouldn't
long
they
as
all test positive?
Absolutely, as long as everybody uses every outlet the same amount, that the tap is turned on. Like, if I use this outlet because of the dissolution and accumulation, so in other words, if I go to an outlet at a school where everybody turns it on 28 times a day, that will show lower than someone that only gets turned on 1 or 2 times a day, because it has to do with the stagnant water that he was discussing. This is solubilization, and it's a time and pH driven item. Question I have for you, Matt, is did we test the water coming out of the pipe, out of the ground from the city at the very beginning, before it ever goes into any of our pipes, at a point near there? Or did we test? And the other thing is say I have a water fountain at Beaver Meadow. Did we test it 3 times and see what the difference in variability is between the 3 separate samples that are taken at exactly the same time?
So let's start with that one first. So when we do the initial test we started in April. That initial test has to be a stagnant test, so that it has to sit. You send 1 bottle out, it gets analyzed. If it comes back that it was 5 or above, then the second round of testing that you have to do is to do a stagnant followed by a 30-second flush test, and then you're sending 2 bottles out for each one of those faucets that are at or above 5 parts per
Yeah,
billion.
but did you do a third 30-second one that says, so this one comes out and it says it's 7 ppb, and the next one comes out and says it's 3 ppb because of either error or variability in sampling or in analysis?
Yes, but that's why you have the third-party lab testing it. So let's carry that a little bit farther. So do the first round, it's above 5 parts per billion from the stagnant test. You come back, you retest it again, you change the faucet. You do a stagnant and then a flush test, and you send that off. It still is 5 or above. The next thing you do, if you want to continue to try to get that faucet to get the lead out, you put a new faucet in, and then you flush it for 2 weeks. We're in that scenario right now. Throughout some of the schools where we have to flush it for 2 weeks. We'll have the custodians do it in the morning, and we'll talk to staff. It's not to be consumed, and drank. But after that 2 weeks, then we immediately take another test and we ship it off. And in the labs in the state have told us that when you get to that length of the process, chances are you're going to get results below 5 parts per billion. But obviously the beauty of this whole process is we have that independent lab that's looking at every single thing that we do, and it's making sure that we're below that limit if we're going to put it back
This
in.
is a concern. I'm looking at the data and I'm saying, so how old is broken ground?
Very old.
1973. So
On
I'm impressed,
11.86%, it's got some of the oldest fixtures that we have in the district. And, you take a look at, some of the other ones. I know Beaver Meadow is not as old.
1987.
Yeah.
Yep.
And although that's still at a period of time when lead was used in solder, so it could be that. I as a parent who was always very concerned about lead,
Sure.
I want to get these numbers down as quickly as we can.
Right.
And so I'm basically was just curious as to, do we need to go back to the entrance point into our school? And I think these filters are great, but we may need a bigger filter or something to address it as it's coming into the building. And I just want to know if you've taken a look at that, and is that something we're looking into and evaluating?
So at the very start of this and throughout the process, Marco Philippon from the water department, we've been working a lot. He did a nice letter explaining out and detailing the Concord water as it comes to the building. But we do talk all the time, so I'll reach back out to him. The process that we are to follow for that RSA for this process is to chase it from the outlet all the way back. And the name of the program is Get the Lead Out. So it's kind of a accurate term when you see all the steps we're starting from the point of distribution all the way back to the source.
And then
But I
the-
can certainly talk to him.
The last thing I would say, or question, I just want to, and that's a clarification for anybody who's watching, because as parents, we are very concerned about this. Those aren't being used. The food being prepared in our schools are not using any water from a faucet that had anything that was out of compliance. And we do have adequate water in our schools that is clean and less than 5 ppb. That is, our kids are drinking, and I just want to make sure that that's absolutely taken care of this school year.
It most definitely is, but something also to add to your point, when we do the testing, the 256 district-wide, if it's at 5 parts per billion or higher, we immediately secure the water source. We put a specific label that comes from DES, and we, belt and suspenders, as I like to say, we also put blue painter's tape across it. So it's very, even if someone were to rip that off, they wouldn't be able to get water because we've secured it to the outlet.
Okay.
So-
I just want to emphasize the safety for our students.
Absolutely.
Would you like any good news about this situation?
No, that's good.
One of the things that we did just receive notice about is there's a program, WIIN,
The win.
and so it hasn't been finalized yet, but, as you can see, Matt's been spending money on replacing faucets, on filter systems, and so there will be an opportunity for us. Matt saves all his receipts that he gets from the purchases, and we may be able to be reimbursed. So at least, because that was one of my concerns was they do this program, but there was no money tied to it, and they advertised it as a free program. Well, sure, we didn't pay for the testing, but the results of the testing forced us to spend quite a bit of money on fixtures and filters, so I was pleased to hear that. So we'll keep you posted on that.
Yeah.
Mr. Proto, did you have a comment?
I did, and I'm gonna withdraw, thank you.
I'll ask my questions on the second.
Yeah.
Other thoughts, questions, anything else, Matt?
That covers it. I mean, I'm always open to go deep in the woods on it. I've weeds in it. This has been a good education, and we're really
It's
into
a
it.
lot of work, Matt.
Yeah, thanks
It
for
is.
doing it.
But let me tell you, we've got several people involved. Mary, who's our admin assistant for facilities, Mary Wyatt. Our 2 maintenance guys, they've been out there, Dan LeBron and Bob Scott. And I really have to tell you, someone's got to go out there and take all the tests. Someone's got to record it all. Someone's got to take inventory of it all. So it certainly isn't just me. They're kind of the unsung heroes. They've done a great job too.
Thanks to the team.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Big thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay, anything else for the good of the order this evening?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Boom. There you go. Thanks.